Hey you guys, welcome back to another episode. I hope that everyone is doing well and staying safe wherever they are. I wanted to do this video in light of everything that's been happening over the past few weeks. It's a heavy video to start off with. I'm sure a lot of you watched the video of what happened to George Floyd and how he was brutally murdered in front of the camera, and we all saw him like take his last breath. It was a very, very difficult video to watch, and I can't even begin to imagine what his family is going through. My deepest condolences to those who were like close to him, like his family, his friends, and really like to the whole Black community here in the US and across the world. I think this has happened so much, and there's so many names that we can mention, like Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland. This has happened over and over and over to Black people, and we're just at a point where I, for one, I can say I'm just like tired. Like after this happened with George Floyd, I just felt so like exhausted. Like I don't understand how people can have so much hate for people just because of the color of their skin. So it's really, really painful, and across the whole world, Black people are feeling the pain. I just hope that something changes, like it's enough. Like we're tired of everything that's happening. And the sad part too of everything is that there's actually a lot of sad parts, okay? For people who didn't know, George Floyd had a daughter, Gianna, and imagine someone who's like 6 years old losing their father to like police brutality like that, and her now having to live without her dad for the rest of her life because someone had so much hate for like Black people.
What do you want people to know?
Kind of that I miss him.
Overnight, George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter, Gianna, talking about her dad.
What was your dad like?
He played with me.
She didn't have to play with nobody else because Daddy was going to play with her all day long.
Gianna's mother, Roxy Washington, saying that George loved his daughter. He was always a great dad.
I mean, that was his baby. He loved his little girl.
It's really painful. It's really, really painful. And I think the world, all of us, we've just gotten to a point where we're tired, and, all these protests that have been happening, whether it's like the peaceful ones and like some of the violence that has come out of it, I think people are just like really, really tired. And so right now, and also I'm just going to add like the Instagram, there was like an Instagram lady who posted, the names of all those people who have been killed over time. And the sad part is that these are like few instances that have been documented and that people actually know about, like for us to see the George Floyd thing, this is happening every single day. It's just not being documented. So we're just at a point where honestly, we're just really, 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 really tired. And I think what's come out of this, a lot has come out of it, but one of it is, people are really starting to talk about doing something, like do something. It's not enough to just talk about it. Like, what are you doing personally about like, Black lives that are being brutally killed? What are you doing about a lot of things in the world right now? And so even for George Floyd, he had a daughter who was like 6, as I mentioned, and they have a GoFundMe page that, they're raising funds for her because now she's going to grow up without her dad, and, people are raising money to like help her, maybe, I guess, start a trust fund for her, and stuff like that. Obviously, there's no amount of money that can replace her dad, but it's some action that people are taking. And so I just want to do this video to talk about beyond racism. There's so many problems, guys, that are happening in the world, whether you're in the US or you are, like in Europe, or you're in Africa, you're in Zimbabwe. There's so many things that are happening. And last week, I actually wrote down some problems that came to mind like right away. And this is just like scratching the surface. There's just like a lot of problems. So you have this board over here. Let me see if there's a way that I can do both. So racism is one of those problems that we have here in the world. We have people in warring countries, refugees, there's corruption, homeless women. I watched a video last week about like homeless women and how it's really, really hard to be homeless and to be a woman on the streets because, when your monthly period comes, you need to find a way to like wash yourself in like public bathrooms, and like seeing what people are going through. Honestly, guys, it's a lot in the world, you know, when it comes to even homelessness, you know, over here. People are like cold, people are hungry, hygiene, as I put on there. You know, orphans and widows, you know, orphans have already lost their parents, right? And like now, you know, some of them don't even have food to eat. They don't have like clothes to wear. You know, hunger in general across the whole world. You know, people are hungry. Some people are only having one meal a day at best. There are people who go to sleep without eating at all. And so if you're able to like eat and have like 3 meals and snacks and stuff like that, that is definitely like, you know, a blessing. Domestic violence. So there are people who are suffering from domestic violence and who have been suffering from domestic violence. Corruption, there's unemployment in the world, and even before this coronavirus, I know Zimbabwe, for example, has like it has a very, 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 very high unemployment rate. And like when you think about coronavirus and what it's done right now, you know, people are on lockdown indefinitely. And there's some people where like they really don't know where their next meal is going to come from, because if you were informally employed and the only way that you made money was going around, you know, selling food to people who are like in commuter omnibuses, and now that's not allowed to even move around, like where is that person getting their food? That's unemployment like in Zimbabwe, but unemployment here in the US too, you know, and across the world people have lost their jobs. People don't know where to find food. People don't know how to pay their bills. These are just like, you know, some of those problems. Education is definitely a problem. So there are places where, you know, the girl child can't be educated or can't go to school, or even like the guy child. So like education is a big problem, where, you know, guys, like not everyone is going to have a gift, like let's say a singing gift that then like takes them, you know, onto like big stages and stuff like that, right? So for those people, education is really something that can pull them out of the slums. And so education, if someone doesn't have access to education, that's a problem in the world. You know, one of the problems too is like back home, for example, like in Zimbabwe, I know that like there's no running water. And for some people, they've been able to like drill boreholes at their houses and stuff like that. But you know, when you think about water, clean water is like a human right. And so many places in the world, they don't have that luxury to have clean water that they can drink. You know, electricity problems, other problems too, like bullying. And so, guys, like we could go on and on and on. Religious persecution, people who don't have, you know, the right to like live how they want to live and stuff like that. Like there's just so many problems. So yeah, so what's the point? What's the point of me bringing this board and like sharing all these problems? It's really just to say like, guys, I think we've gotten to a point where we need to do something. And I know that like, you know, for some people, even like for me a few years ago, I was really like more of like, you know, I want to be a blessing on like a large scale to people, right? But it's not everybody who, you know, is Akon, for example. I know Akon is doing great work with like electricity. I think solar energy and stuff like that. Not everyone is going to be able to do like such a massive scale kind of, you know, helping out of people. It's really like, what can you do every single day to help someone out, right? Like, what are you doing to like help some of the problems? So I just wanted to say, think about the problems that you actually, one of the problems too on there that I forgot to mention is like people with illnesses right now. There are people who have chronic illnesses, people who have terminal diseases, who, you know, like they can't afford the medication that they're supposed to be on, or they can't afford to like go for surgery, or, you know, they don't know where to get like money to continue to like even survive. So like think about the cause that you want to help out towards, right? So like, as I said, I really wanted to like help on a big scale, but it's really come down to the small scale. What is something that you can do to help someone right now? And, you know, like I mentioned, education, for example. Education is a big thing. I know there are some organizations like Compassion, I'll put them in the description box, but like Compassion, PlanNet International is also one of those, where, you know, you really get to like sponsor. I'm pretty sure there are like so many others, but you get to sponsor a child. So really it's like, you know, every month maybe they'll take like $30 or like $40 out of your account, and that amount of money really can go very, very far for someone, you know, like someone who's like in a third world country. They can use that money to like help out their family, to like pay for educational expenses and stuff like that. So there's no amount of money that you can give that's too small, but that's a step that you can take, you know. It's a step that you can take if you can afford it, because, you know, you think about like $30, right, or $40. Some of us, you know, when we go out to even have like brunch or something like that, $30 is money that you can drop right there for like one meal. So if you can do that and just give someone out there in the world like a fighting chance, you don't even need to know them. And that's the thing about like, if you've been blessed, right? If you've been blessed, be a blessing to other people. So like, yeah, so it can be like education. Look for those places or like ways of helping people. If it's like, you know, people, if you care a lot about like healthcare, you know, organizations like St. Jude's, for example, raising money for like cancer research for children, that's something that you can take part in and like help out. Right now with this coronavirus crisis, I know there are like a lot of GoFundMe's right now. I know there's one that they did for Zimbabwe where they wanted to raise money for like PPE for Zimbabwean doctors and that kind of stuff. So you can like, you know, whatever you give, even if it's $25, you've done something to like help out somewhere in the world. So think about those causes that you care about and find ways that you can help. And for those people who are unable to help, you know, financially, even like in your day-to-day world, right? Like maybe you have a neighbor who's not feeling well, like, you know, cooking something for them can be something, you know. Sometimes it's really just helping someone to have company. So like if someone is feeling lonely, someone is going through a lot, like checking in on them. So it doesn't have to be financial, but just doing something will help someone. But for those who have been blessed, like think about how the amount, any small amount that you can give can really, really help someone out there in the world. Something that I wanted to share is, you know, back when there was like a crisis in Haiti and they did the We Are the World 25 for Haiti, the lyrics of the song, I'll just pick some of them, but they basically said, you know, there comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying and it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somehow will soon make a change. We're all part of God's great big family, and the truth, you know, love is all we need. We are the world, we are the children, we are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true. We'll make a better day, just you and me. And I'll also like add maybe a link to the song so that you can listen to it. It's very like moving. But yeah, you know, be like someone who's actually taking steps to like help in any problems that are happening in the world right now. This is really like a chance for us to do something as young people, as like older people, do something to help someone out there. And I know that like there are people who are already doing that, and so continue to do the work that you're doing. And even when it seems like no one is seeing, you know, God is watching. Continue to do the work that you're doing to just help out. I know a lot of things, there's a lot of awareness going on right now. You know, continue to do like your part in whatever way you see, you know, fit, or whatever way you see would help people. And yeah, that's it, guys. I really hope that this helped someone out there. Let's continue to have hope. We are the world, and we are the ones who will make a change to help others out there. So yeah, so guys, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.